Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. And last night's win was the perfect example of why the Phillies can absolutely win big this season. I'll tell you why on today's episode.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You may know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic, doing sports talk radio here in Philadelphia for a little over 5 years now. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for 4 seasons, and this is now my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. Please make sure that you're rating and reviewing if you're checking us out in podcast form. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching the YouTube and haven't hit the subscribe button on the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel, it'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted. It's free and easy. Just go to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out here on Locked On Phillies. So in today's episode, we're going to start with a recap of last night's game and why I think that was proof positive of why the Phillies can win big this year. We're talking about National League pennant. We're talking about World Series. We're talking about those types of winning big. That's what the Phillies can do. And last night showed me something. Well, showed me something I already knew. We're also going to talk about the center field issues. They continued. Brandon Marsh is in a bad spot. We will discuss that a little later on, and we'll take a look at Game 3 of the series with Atlanta. Phil's got a chance to win their 4th straight series to start the year. Great pitching matchup in tonight's game. But you might be saying, Connor, what in the world did a 4-3 victory over the Atlanta Braves, in which Taijuan Walker pitched, and the offense didn't really do all that much over the course of the whole game, and the bullpen looked shaky again. Like, what does that tell you that the Phillies can win big? It's how the Philadelphia Phillies ended up winning the baseball game. Now, before we talk about Trea Turner and Bryce Harper and their heroics last night at the dish in the 7th inning on, Taijuan Walker deserves some credit. Our last topic on yesterday's episode was, do you have faith in Taijuan Walker to go out there and make another strong start? And my argument was, one bit of sample size against the Rockies isn't enough to make me believe in this guy. Well, last night he goes 4 2/3 innings. He does not allow a run against a much better Braves lineup than what he faced against the Colorado Rockies. Now, he did leave the bases loaded when he left in the 4th, and Jose Ruiz had to, or the 5th, and Jose Ruiz had to help him get out of that. But still, Jose Ruiz did his job. Bryson Stott made a great play on a little bleeder over second base that he went back and got. And Taijuan Walker escapes with no earned runs on the day. You have to give the dude immense credit. I don't know how long this lasts for. I don't know when Ranger Suarez specifically is due back. We should hear more on that probably this weekend, because the thought was you'd only need to get like 2 starts out of Taijuan Walker. Before anyone asks, no, you are not keeping Taijuan Walker in the rotation, and Ranger Suarez is going to the bench. No, Ranger Suarez is going to be in the starting rotation. He's better than Taijuan Walker. But Walker has been shockingly good in his first 2 starts of the year. All the credit in the world to him. He's a big reason why the Phillies won the 2 games in which he pitched. So credit to Taijuan Walker. Now, you got into a game late where you needed some heroics. Bryce Harper went yard in the 7th inning. A big-time swing by him to put the Phillies up. And then the Phillies, well, they give up the lead and end up in a tie ball game heading into the top of the 9th, in which Trea Turner absolutely tees off on Iglesias, takes him deep to left field. Trea's first home run of the year could not have come at a better time. That's a big-time spot for him. So Harper was huge. Trea was huge. And here's why I look at it and I say, okay, the Phillies, they can absolutely win big with this team. And we've known this because they went to the World Series. They went to the NLCS. Like, I don't need to tell you the resume of this team. They haven't summited the mountaintop, but they've gotten damn near close, and that gets lost in the anger of the backslide in the postseason. But here are the current issues with the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, even what we just saw in yesterday's game. And I'm not overly worried about any of these because we're 11 games into the season. But yesterday you started a guy in Taijuan Walker that probably should have been off the team this offseason, is getting way overpaid. Everybody in the town wanted him gone after the season was over. He was not supposed to be on the roster. Then he was in the bullpen. Then he got moved into the starting rotation when Ranger Suarez got hurt. So you're already starting a pitcher that people have very, very little faith in. I just gave props to him. but that's the reality of the way that we view Taijuan Walker coming into this year. Your bullpen is shaky right now. Now, I think they're going to settle down. I don't think they'll be a top 5 unit, but I've said 10 to 12, maybe 8 to 10. That's all you really need in the B because the starting rotation is so good. But anyway, the bullpen was shaky. You saw Jose Ruiz dance out of danger. You saw Joe Ross get hurt with the home run given up. I mean, Orion Kirkland was getting warm. If Alvarado lost guys in the ninth, and Alvarado struggled in the ninth, but the Philadelphia Phillies survived that. And that's it, right? Because Brandon Marsh is 0 for his last 17. There are a lot of guys that did not have great nights at the dish last night against the guy in Grant Holmes that I thought was very, very gettable. I mean, Schwarber was 0 for 4. He's been red hot, so we're not killing him. But Bohm was 0 for 5 again. Bohm is a mess at the plate right now. I don't know what you do with him. I think you got to let him kind of ride it out just because you don't have other great options at third base, and Sosa can't be an everyday guy. We brought it up. Marsh was 0 for 4. JT Realmuto 1 for 3. Castellanos 1 for 4. Like, you didn't have the production that you really want to see consistently out of this lineup from guys that you should count on at some point, right? Guys that are going to have to be pieces on this team would probably be a better way to put it. And what happened? The Philadelphia Phillies had like enough guys that have been in big moments to know how to battle. So they're in a tight game against a divisional opponent with a series victory or loss on the line. I mean, if they had lost last night's game, they lose the series to the Atlanta Braves, who came into this matchup with just 1 win on the season. And the Phillies, frankly, with the way that the bullpen pitched, the way that they did not cash in on runners, the way that they walked a bunch, like they were selective. I still love their approach at the plate to start the year, the Philadelphia Phillies batters. But when push came to shove, Bryce Harper steps to the plate in a tie ball game and goes, yeah, I'm just going to hit one out to the deepest part of the park. Like, no problem. You make one mistake, bang, see ya, gone. I'm Bryce freaking Harper. You want to try and sacrifice bunt, Jared Kelenic, in a big spot? I'm going to charge it like crazy, throw the guy out at second. Instincts that you don't see from a guy that just started playing first base like a year and a half ago. I'm a hoser because I'm Bryce Harper. And then guess what? In the ninth inning, when you get into a spot where you got to score, the Braves are going to have a chance to walk it off in the bottom of the ninth, Trea Turner's going to go yard. The $300 million men in Trea Turner and Bryce Harper were the reasons you won that baseball game last night. And that's why the Phillies can win big. Because for all of the warts that this team has, warts they showed in last night's game, at the end of the day, teams are going to have to get Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trea Turner, Nick Castellanos out. Those guys are going to be determining factors in late innings of ball games. And those guys are damn good. Like, I know Trea Turner did not have the best opening season. I know Nick Castellanos can be streaky. I know Kyle Schwarber is a guy that is going to strike out a good amount. But all of those guys are high-level baseball players. They're dangerous at the plate. And that's why they're so good, because when the Phillies play a bad game, they're still going to be in a bat in the late innings of a game where Bryce Harper is going to be facing a guy that is not as good as Bryce Harper. And more often than not, he's going to get out because that's baseball. Like, he's not going to hit 700 in those spots. But when he does get those moments, it almost feels like he hits 600 in them, 700 in them. And Trea Turner is a guy that in the past has been that dude. We haven't totally seen it here in Philadelphia yet. 2-year sample size. His career would tell you a bigger sample size that he can be the guy in those moments. Like, here's the thing. The star power of the Phillies is what it ultimately comes down to, which is why every discussion with this team starts and ends with, are the big players going to hit in October? We don't have the answer here on April 9th or whatever today's date is. April 9th. Like, we don't have the answer to that question yet. But what we do know is we know that Bryce Harper plays for this team. And like, it may be simplifying it, but at the end of the day, stars are how you win. You don't win the World Series if you're the Dodgers last year without Freddie Freeman turning into a monster, right? And they did that with Shohei Ohtani batting nearly 100 in that series. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't have those big-time players, you're not going to win. And if you do have those big-time players, you're in every game. That's the beautiful thing. That's why last night should show you the Philadelphia Phillies can win big, because they had a lot of things that they did not do well. A little bit sloppy again, just like they were in game one. But at the end of the day, the big-time bats are going to come through often enough for this team to win consistently and to win in the big moments. Like, come on. These guys have had big hits. Castellanos has had big hits in the postseason. Schwarber has had big hits in the postseason. Harper, of course, has had big hits in the postseason. Turner has not done it here yet, but he has in his career at points. We'll see if he's still that guy. But my point in all of this is that last night was the perfect example that baseball teams don't have to be perfect. But if you have great players at the top of the lineup and you get those guys to the plate in important situations, you're going to win more than you lose. And that's who the Phillies are. They're a team with great players at the top of the lineup that's going to win a lot more than they lose. And it's deeper than that. But that was my main takeaway last night, was it's just like, that's such a Phillies win. That's such a way that they can do it, because you may look lost for 7 innings, and then the next thing you know, or 6 innings, in the 7th, Bryce Harper's going to murder a baseball and your team's going to win. Trea Turner's going to come up big and your team's going to win. That's the reality of the situation for the Phillies. And that doesn't mean you can't criticize them. And it doesn't mean there aren't issues to fix. And it doesn't mean we let other parts of the team off the hook. But what it does mean is this team doesn't stink. This team isn't a losing team. This team isn't unable to compete for a championship. They're very much in that conversation. And they're 8-3 to start the year with a chance to go to 9-3 today. So a nice win for the Phillies last night, a gutsy win, one that reminds you that this team is very comfortable in tight ball games, as they have been for years now. And these are the nuances of what makes them so good in the regular season that get lost when you just focus on 4 or 5 games in October. Those games infinitely more important, but it doesn't change the ceiling of this baseball team. It doesn't. It changes the fan base's perspective of what the ceiling is, but the reality is this team is damn good. So that's my big takeaway from Game 2 of the series against the Atlanta Braves. We'll preview the final game of the series a little later on, but like I said, these strengths don't completely make us look past the criticisms. It just means they can win in spite of them. We still want to look at the baseball team and say they can be better here. And then one of the spots, not the number one, because I think the number one spot they can be better is the bullpen. We talked about that in yesterday's episode. The number 2 spot they could be better is center field. My goodness, what in the world do you do with Brandon Marsh? It's a great question, and one that I don't know that the Phillies or I have an answer to, but we will discuss that coming up next as we continue today's episode. Let's talk about Just Ingredients, because when it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. And that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure that they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. You want to make sure you're putting good stuff in your body. You want to make sure that you're getting healthy ingredients. Just Ingredients is great at making sure that is what you put in your body when you use their products. And Just Ingredients has also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper. Yeah, that guy who hit the go-ahead home run in the 7th inning. Now, Trea Turner had to equal it because the bullpen blew it up. But the reason Bryce Harper can go to the deepest part of the park is in part thanks to Just Ingredients, which he trusts. He trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. So I take it all the time after my workouts. They sent me samples. I mean, it's awesome. I feel great. Body feels stronger. It does everything I need it to do. They got wholesome, nourishing ingredients. So whether you're recovering after a workout or need an energy boost, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver real results. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. Go ahead and check out our friends over there at Just Ingredients. All right, so Brandon Marsh is in a very, very deep, dark hole when it comes to his performance at the plate lately. Last year, he was not good for the second half of the season. This year, he had an okay game like Game 2 in Washington. But he is now, after last night's game, 0 for his last 17 at-bats. Or, yeah, I guess it's at-bats, plate appearances, whatever. He is 0 for his last 17 dish. That is not good. That's my high-level analysis here on Locked On Phillies. Going 0 for your last 17, bad baseball. So I talked about this on air at 97.5 The Fanatic earlier today on the morning show on Kincaid and South Tunis. And there's a conversation about Alec Bohm to be had because he was 0 for 5 last night. He looks frustrated again. The vibe around Alec Boehm from just like reading body language, just the feel I get versus the vibe from Brandon Marsh, totally different. Alec Boehm seems to be I'm better than this. I'm pissed off. I'm playing poorly. I'm letting that get to me. It's not good. I'm not saying either of these guys are right or wrong. I'm just saying Boehm seems more like I should be better than this. What in the world? Like, be better, Alec. Feels like what his internal monologue is every time he gets out. Marsh feels different, man. When I see Brandon Marsh get out, like I get the feeling of, and if you're a baseball player, you've been in both of these spots. I can hit this pitcher. I should hit this pitcher. I'm going to be pissed if I get out. And then there's where Marsh is right now, where it's like, dude, you could throw me a beach ball. I'm not making contact. I could rope a baseball. I'm not getting a hit. He had one up the first base line that was just unlucky because Matt Olson was holding the runner at first. It would have been over the bag probably for a double. But Olson's holding the player. Next thing you know, he's on the bag. The ball's up the line. He makes the play. Marsh is out before he even takes like 3 steps out of the box. Like, part of it is when you're slumping in baseball, it always seems that the bounces never go your way, right? You can crush a ball and it's right at somebody. That's the reality of the game, and it sucks for people in slumps, but you got to deal with it. Ebbs and flows of the season. But also, Marsh just feels, I don't want to say defeated because it's early, right? He's had 28 plate appearances this year, I think, if I remember correctly. But he feels like he's in a spot where he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, not like I should be better. Like, I can't be better. Like, I can't figure out how to hit a baseball right now. That's not good for a guy that you want to be your starting center fielder. It already feels like they're leaning towards platooning because Marsh has been that bad to start. He's batting like 140 something, 145 maybe, I think I saw this morning. So his vibe is, I just don't have a feel for this game right now. And that's not good. And that's not a guy that you can continue to have in the lineup right now. Now, I tweeted out last night that basically Marsh is 0 for 17, and you can't have him in the lineup tomorrow, in my opinion. And some people were like, finally, you said it, because a lot of people look at me as this Brandon Marsh defender. I think he gets unnecessary flack. I think people expect on a Phillies team with World Series expectations, every player to play like an all-star. That's not how World Series teams are, right? Every team has deficiencies. The Phillies happen to be in center field with the tandem of Rojas and Marsh. Rojas, that's the other thing. He's not like this exceptional option. I think he's a solid player. We'll see what he is as a hitter as he gets more opportunities. We know he's a plus defender, even in spite of the misplay in game 1 that cost Zach Wheeler 3 runs. Like, Rojas, though, is not – listen, he's not Barry Bonds at the dish, all right? He's going to be a liability in the lineup at points as well. So you don't have a great option for replacing Brandon Marsh, and that's part of the reason why you have to try and stick by him as much as you can. But at this point, when a guy is in an 0-17 hole, you have to, for the good of the player, do something else, right? And me saying he can't be in the lineup tomorrow, meaning today's game 3, the rubber match of the Phillies series with the Atlanta Braves, that does not mean trade him. That does not mean cut him. That does not mean shoot him in the streets, right? Like, people were treating it like, some people were saying, thank goodness you finally said it. And then all of a sudden, people who love Brandon Marsh were saying, this dude wants to get rid of him. Whoa. I've been defending Brandon Marsh as much as anybody who talks Philadelphia Phillies baseball. But there comes a time where you see that a guy is just he's not there right now. And I don't know when he will get there, if he will get there. Like, we don't know what the future holds. It's 11 games, right? So no one knows anything. Do you know, real quick, little Locked On Phillies trivia for you. Do you know who's leading the major leagues in batting average amongst qualified batters right now? It's George Springer of the Toronto Blue Jays. George Springer's a nice player, right? He's a solid bat. He's a major league, like a plus major league player, I would say. But he's not a batting average champion, right? He's not Luis Ariz. He's not one of these guys that you'd expect to see batting like 340 something. And that's just a reminder of how early in the season it is, okay? So you can't make these grand proclamations about the season. Trade Boehm, trade Marsh, trade Stott. The bullpen's terrible. Romano, put him on a boat, send him out to sea, and hope he never comes back. Like, calm down, everybody. Now, I'm saying Brandon Marsh should not be in the lineup today. For me, I'll tell you coming up when we preview game 3 what my lineup would be, and it would involve Brandon Marsh being on the bench. But another thing you can't do is you can't just sit the guy down for a week, right? Like, you have to give him opportunities because you don't really have another option. If you had, for example, if the Phillies had gone out and signed Teoscar Hernandez this offseason, which was not realistic because he was always going to go back to the juggernaut Dodgers where he wanted to be. But if they had, and it was like, well, Brandon Marsh is over for his last 17, but we have this other guy, he's playing every day, Teoscar Hernandez. You don't have that guy in the outfield, all right? You don't have that other option. So you have to live with trying to salvage something from Brandon Marsh right now and hope that he comes out of it later. The same way you have to live with trying to salvage something out of Alec Bohm, maybe Edmundo Sosa here and there, but like, he's got to play and you're going to have to figure it out. Our point in the first segment was the Phillies have enough star power that they can make up for holes in the lineup, issues with the bullpen. And starting rotation and the top of the lineup will do that. So you're not in dire straits trying to figure out how can we win baseball games. You're winning. But when a guy's 0 for 17, you got to sit him down. He is not putting together competitive at-bats. If it's for a day and then you want to reevaluate in St. Louis against a more beatable baseball team, sure, let's go after it. But for today, I would have Brandon Marsh not in the lineup. And center field, we're going to have the Justin Crawford conversation, one of the Phillies' top prospects, their top outfield prospect right now, who's in AAA. We're going to have the conversation about when he comes up sooner rather than later, because this outfield, not the outfield, the center field position is it's in a sketchy spot right now, and Brandon Marsh is a huge reason for that. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he figures it out. But where he's at right now, you can't continue to toss him out there daily and expect something different. He's heading the wrong way on the treadmill right now. It's not a good place to be. But the Phils are heading the right way. They're 8-3. They have a chance to win their 4th straight series. We got a great pitching matchup. Jesus Luzardo takes the bump again, which I know Phillies fans will be excited about. We will talk about the final game of the series coming up as we wrap up today's episode. Let's talk about FanDuel first, though, because the NBA playoffs, they're almost here. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy. Whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props, I mean, there's a lot of ways to win. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. They got everything that you want to bet. Futures on who's going to win the finals and lift the Larry O'Brien. They got that too. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. The Sixers aren't going to be in the playoffs. The Flyers aren't going to be in the playoffs. But while early season baseball is still getting ramped up, you got postseasons coming in the NHL and NBA. So go to FanDuel. They got all of the bets that you want to make, and they're going to get you paid out in a simple, easy, timely manner. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Check out our friends over at FanDuel. So Game 3 of the Phillies series with the Atlanta Braves is an intriguing one. The lineup, the pitching matchup. This is one of those series that if you didn't look at the records, you would say, well, these are two teams that are near the top of the NL East standings that are fighting for the division title. And when everything's all said and done, maybe that will be how this plays out. It's still early. The Braves at 2-9, though. The Phillies at 8-3. Couldn't be further apart when it comes to where their record is through the first 11 games of the season. But today, the pitching matchup says the most about anything. You have Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Titans, and you have Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. And that is just some high-level pitching. It's not quite Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler, but with the way Luzardo and Schwellenbach have thrown this year, you should expect big things out of these guys on the mound. Schwellenbach has thrown 14 innings. He has a 0 ERA, a .29 whip, and he is 1-0 on the season. Meanwhile, Luzardo, 2-0 in the win-loss column. 1.5 ERA, a .92 whip in 12 innings pitched. These guys have been awesome. I mean, as far as strikeouts are concerned, Schwellenbach hasn't had too many. He's got 14 in 14 innings. Luzardo has 19 in 12 innings. He's been a strikeout machine for the Phillies. So you're going to see some great stuff. Plus, Schwellenbach a righty, so you get to see Schwarber lead off, and you get to see the strongest Phillies lineup, in my opinion, but maybe not today, because maybe you're not putting your lefties all in the lineup. I want Brandon Marsh to sit. So what exactly do you do there? Well, first and foremost, Luzardo, this is going to be the first like real test for him, I think. I know you saw him go out against the Dodgers and throw and like look good to start that series. Absolutely. I loved what I saw from him there. But I think going on the road now in a tough environment against the Atlanta Braves, he's seen the Atlanta Braves a lot because remember, he pitched with the Marlins before coming to Philly. So this is a team that's more familiar with him. They will have seen Luzardo a bunch. This will be an interesting one to see if Luzardo's gotten off to a hot start or if this guy is like, oh, he's going to be good this year. And we already think he's going to be good. The big question with him is availability. The strikeout numbers, I'm intrigued to see where he goes today. I would expect probably around 7 or 8 for him, but maybe that's underselling him. Schwellenbach, I'd expect probably 6 or 7 from him. So if you're looking at strikeout overs, maybe this is the game for you. But a great pitching matchup. It would be huge for the Phillies for Luzardo to just go deep in this game, though. Whether he strikes out 10 or 0, I'd love to see him get through 7 because the bullpen is shaky right now. If you can get 7 out of Luzardo, that'll really save you considering the Phillies are in a stretch where they're playing 16 games in 16 days. They do not have an off day for a while. So the better starting pitching, the deeper starting pitching, especially after Taijuan Walker only went 4 2/3 yesterday, will be huge for the Phils. The Braves are going to look to get that out of Schwellenbach as well. Now, the lineup. Schwarber's going to lead off. Turner's going to bat second. Harper's going to bat third. But here's where it gets tricky. We haven't talked about Alec Bohm a lot because I think center field is a bigger issue than third base at the current time. Alec Bohm's resume kicks the hell out of Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas's resumes at the major league level. So while Bohm is struggling right now too, there's more to lean on when it comes to like past performance from Alec Bohm. Dude was an all-star starter last year at third base. I'm not saying he's still that guy. I'm not saying he will be that guy. I'm saying he was. And the guys in center field have never been that guy. So Bohm gets a little bit more of a leash when it comes to he'll come out of it. But he has not been good. So cleanup cannot be Alec Bohm today. If it's me making the lineup, I'm dropping him down. Now, I may also look at playing Edmundo Sosa at third base. I don't know because both righty. So I don't really look at a situation where it doesn't give you a handedness advantage. And Edmundo Sosa, while he started off the season hot, is a guy that's not going to be this hot forever. So we will see if the Phillies want to go and give Alec Bohm another day off. But Bohm also sat in that Dodgers series. Like, so what in the world do you do there? Do you give him multiple off days in the same week? And what does that do mentally to him? Is that the better plan or is moving him down the better plan? I would have Castellanos batting cleanup today for this roster, for this lineup, I should say. So Castellanos bats fourth. I am dropping Bohm down. Fifth is still Kepler. He's playing in lefty on righty. No problem there. Sixth, you're going to go with probably Alec Bohm. Seventh, Bryson Stott. Eighth would be where you're looking at JT Realmuto, who I think is going to catch today. Some people have asked, is Realmuto getting a day off? Is Marchand going? They talked about it on the broadcast. I agree with them. I think Realmuto is going to get a day off in St. Louis, maybe the night game before the day game or the day game after the night game. So Saturday or Sunday, I think, will be an off day for JT Realmuto. That's my expectation. They could sit him. But whatever the case, if it's Marchand, Realmuto, they're batting in the lower part of the order. And then in center field, batting ninth, I know Marsh is left-handed. I know Schwellenbach's a righty. Schwellenbach has been really good. So I'm going with Johan Rojas. I'm getting a different face out there. Rojas made the mistake in game one in the outfield and didn't put together great at-bats either, but he's putting the ball in play most of the time. Like, Marsh has been a black hole for the lineup. At least Rojas can bunt. Like, I don't know. The center field position isn't in a great spot, but I'm putting Rojas in center today. I'm sitting Brandon Marsh down and saying, yo, collect yourself because you have not been good. You know you haven't been good. Take a breather. Watch this one. We'll get you going again in St. Louis. That would be my lineup for today's game with Jesus Luzardo on the mound. Oh, one more thing that I didn't get into. I forgot about this. I tweeted this out, but I asked for Joe Ross to get high leverage innings. He gave up a home run in one of those high leverage innings. I don't think he was awful, but he wasn't good. It's not like, yes, give more of those to Joe Ross. I wanted to see it. We saw it. Thank you, Rob Thompson, for allowing us to see it. Right now, he's probably a 6th or 7th inning guy. But if you need another arm that you want to throw high leverage, He's better than Romano. So at least we figured that out. So you won't see him again today because he threw too many pitches last night. It'll be a weird bullpen day, which is why I said Luzardo needs to get you a bunch. I don't know what the bullpen does, but hopefully it doesn't matter. Hopefully you're up like 4-0 when Luzardo's day gets done, or 4-1, and then you can just kind of ride it out a little bit less stressful of an environment than you were in last night. But Phils can find a way to a series win. It will be their 4th in a row. It will mean that they are 9-3, and it will take them into a series with the St. Louis Cardinals over the weekend that we will talk about on tomorrow's episode. But Phils win. They're fine. Bryce Harper and Trea Turner make up for a lot. Center field is an issue. What in the world do they do today? We will find out at 7:15 this evening. That's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies. I think that was a nice summary there at the end. Thank you so much for joining us. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that really helps us out. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.